By the early 20th century, the damage was impossible to deny. The government finally admitted its policies toward native nations had caused devastation. Reports were written, investigations conducted. Officials acknowledged poverty, land loss, and cultural destruction. But acknowledgement did not mean accountability, and it did not mean return. The system labeled its next move reform. Allotment, they said, had gone too far. Assimilation, they admitted, caused harm. The language softened the tone, changed promises, were made about improvement, protection, and fairness, but the foundation stayed the same. The land remained stolen. New policies slowed some of the most obvious abuses, but they did not undo them. Lost land was not returned. Broken treaties were not honored. Wealth extracted from native territories was not repaid. Reform was designed to stabilize the system, not dismantle it. Native leaders saw through this immediately. They understood that recognition without restitution was another form of control. That sympathy without justice was meaningless. That apology without repair preserved power exactly where it already sat, and they said so. This period marked a shift in resistance. Native activism became more visible. Leaders organized across tribes. They formed councils, associations, and legal strategies. They spoke directly to the government in its own language law. They demanded land. They demanded sovereignty. They demanded to be treated as nations. The government responded with limits. Yes, some cultural practices were quietly tolerated again. Yes, some local governance was allowed, but always under supervision. Always with conditions. Always with the reminder of who held authority. Autonomy was permitted, but not respected. Episode 32 exposes a critical pattern every time native survival threatened to become self-determination. The system stepped in to contain it. Education programs shifted, tone but not purpose. Schools still prioritized assimilation. Children were still separated. Trauma still echoed through generations. The tools changed. The outcome did not. Meanwhile, native communities faced an impossible balancing act. They had to preserve culture while navigating a legal system designed to undermine it. They had to survive economically while surrounded by poverty engineered over generations. They had to heal while still being controlled by the source of their wounds. Survival itself required constant negotiation. Settler society congratulated itself. They spoke of progress, of lessons learned, of a more humane future. They celebrated reform without asking why reform was needed in the first place. The narrative shifted from conquest to charity, but charity does not restore sovereignty, and native nations knew it. Episode 32 reminds us of a hard truth. Reform that leaves stolen land in stolen hands is not justice. It is maintenance. Yet this era planted something powerful. Native voices were being heard, not as relics of the past, but as political actors in the present. The fight had entered courtrooms, legislatures, and public consciousness. The system could no longer pretend native people were disappearing. They were organizing. As the century moved forward, pressure grew, protests emerged. Legal battles intensified. A new generation refused silence. The question was no longer whether native nations would survive.